Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank Chair Latta for convening this hearing to conduct oversight of the NTIA's administration of the $42.5 billion Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program. I would like to start by thanking each of our witnesses for taking time to be with us today, and I'd like to share particular appreciation, which has already been done, to Director Giles being here today for your service, but to both the state of Georgia and Governor Perdue's administration and for the nation while at USDA. It's most appreciated for your continued service. And I'd like to congratulate you on the state of Montana becoming the first in the nation to open your BEAD program application portal. One of the things that there are a lot of funding agencies for this. We want to get, I think everybody, it's not a partisan issue. Everybody wants to get broadband just like we electrified the country years ago. And, I was thinking, hey, the best way to do it is block grant the money to the states and let the states do it. Much simpler because, like in the several places in the BEAD program notice of funding opportunity, it expresses preference for a unionized workforce, and of course Georgia is a right-to-work state, so that doesn't work too well in Georgia. It also talks about paying prevailing wages and providing detailed information regarding a subgrantee's compliance of his contractors and subcontractors, and on, compliance after compliance, rule after rule. The overwhelming number of ISPs in this country do not have unionized workforces or rely on directly employed personnel. It doesn't make sense for many companies. I'm concerned that NTIA's requirements could deter ISP participation in already difficult labor markets because they're extremely burdensome, administratively difficult, and inefficient. Ms. Blumenthal, do all of your members directly employ the teams that will do the actual physical deployment of network facilities, or do some of them rely on contractors?
The vast majority of my member companies do rely on contractors, and the ability to plan in advance to get that construction team is probably just as much of a challenge as anything. To your point about prevailing wages, I will say that a combination of supply chain issues, workforce availability, my folks have seen an increased cost in actual construction about 20 to 30% year over year.
Right.
So.
Just out curious, how many of your members have unionized workforces today, or can the unions actually furnish the workers to get the job done?
So I have about 850 community-based companies. We do not track this information, but my best guesstimate is about 75 of those 850 do have union shop employees within their organization.
And how long have your members been deploying broadband networks in
Since
rural
it was
areas?
invented.
Okay, all right, great. Director Giles, while I support closing the digital divide that exists in rural America, I'm worried about that adding the 5G fund on top of the Rural Digital Opportunity Fund, the BEAD fund, the Capital Projects Fund, and the Reconnect Fund program will lead to wasted funding instead of connectivity. Like I said, it's coming from every different directions. How are you handling the vast amount of broadband funds that are being thrown at your state?
That's a great question. We do have a lot of cooks in the kitchen, as this is a pretty big problem to solve. I think it really comes down to mapping. I know that was raised several times that mapping is a concern, and it is still a concern, but we're working through the challenge process and with the requirements of NTIA, talking to our providers, trying to get our hands on every single data set we can. I know USDA, to give them a shout out, they've been an incredible partner of keeping us up to date, so we have that data, but it really comes down to adequate mapping so we can really see where those resources are going.
That's a perfect lead into my next question. Where are you as far as the maps in the accurate maps in Montana?
That's a great question. We've had some challenges with getting the new fabric from NTIA, so we are actually operating on 2-year-old fabric. We're still working through that process with our challenge results. We're hoping that we can clean this up on the backside after we get the grant proposals in, but most states are actually operating on August 2022 fabric due to the delays between the FCC, NTIA, and the states of getting that data.
So we got the cart before the horse here?
Yes, sir. A little bit.
And so here we are, yeah. federal programs. Yeah, so anyway, thank you. I yield back, and thank you for your being here today and trying to help us get this done.